Hello, everyone. I hope you had a great week and you're ready for week 12. So for this week, we're going to wrap up our reading of Kindred, and also we'll be wrapping up the last module of our course, Amazing Journeys. For this week, you will submit quiz number 8. So after viewing the video Symbolism, respond to the following questions. 1, based on the video, how would you define a symbol? 2, what is a cultural symbol? 3, what is a universal symbol? 4, what is a contextual symbol? And 5, in Kindred, Octavia Butler gives each chapter a title. For example, this week, we read the chapter entitled The Storm. Choose one chapter title from the novel, such as The River, The Fire, or The Rope, and explain how this chapter title may be symbolic. So this quiz is due by the end of the day on November 16th. Next, you're going to participate in discussion form number 11. After reading The Storm to the epilogue, choose one of the following writing prompts. 1. Discuss the ways in which the novel's title encapsulates the relationships within the novel. Is the title ironic, literal, metaphorical? What emphasis do you place on your own kinship? How does it compare with that of the novel? Or you can choose this writing prompt. Dana loses her left arm as she emerges for the last time in the novel from the past. What was your reaction to this ending? What do you think Dana's loss of an arm symbolizes? When replying to your peer, you may reply to a peer who responded to the same writing prompt or a peer who chose a different writing prompt. For your peer who responded to the same writing prompt, you may consider in your reply, 1, what similarities do you notice in your responses? 2, what differences do you notice in your responses? And 3, how might your peer's response supplement or add to your own understanding of the topic addressed in the prompt? For your peer who responded to a different prompt, you may consider in your reply, 1, how might have you responded to the prompt compared to your peer? 2, what did you learn from your peer's response? And 3, how does your peer's response add to your understanding of the topic addressed in the writing prompt and the chapter in particular? So the main post is due anytime on November 16th, and your reply to your peer is due anytime on November 18th. Next, we have journal entry number 12. So in this journal entry, consider one of the following writing prompts. 1. In one part of the Reader's Guide to Kindred, the literary critic Robert Crossley focuses on the symbolism of Dana's amputated arm. Quoting Octavia Butler, he tells us, I couldn't really let her come all the way back. I couldn't let her return to what she was. I couldn't let her come back whole, and that, I think, really symbolizes her not coming back whole. Antebellum slavery didn't leave people quite whole. And you can find that quote on page 267 of the novel. After reviewing this passage, address the following questions. A, what do you think about Butler's response, especially if you responded to the question of Dana's arm in the previous discussion forum? What do you think Butler means by antebellum slavery didn't leave people quite whole? Why might it have been important for Butler to not have Dana return to her own time whole? And how might Butler's response compare to your own understanding of the symbolism of Dana's arm? Or you can choose this writing prompt. In a brief section of the Reader's Guide, Robert Crossley touches on the history of time travel literature to make a point. He notes that Kindred does not read like a typical science fiction story because it does not contain the time-traveling device that we've come to expect in time travel stories because of H.G. Wells. And you can find that on page 267. Instead, Dana travels rather mysteriously, with no clear reason given other than Rufus is somehow able to call her to the past. Crossley claims that Butler does not give her novel a clear scientific or pseudo-scientific explanation of the time traveling because she wants to evoke the terrifying and nauseating voyage that looms behind every American slave narrative, the middle passage from Africa to the slave markets of the New World. In her experience of being kidnapped in time and space, Dana recapitulates the dreadful, disorienting voyage of her ancestors. And you can find that quote on 268. After reviewing this passage, address the following questions. What do you think about Butler's refusal to give a scientific or pseudoscientific, seems like science but really isn't, explanation for Dana's time traveling? Do you think it's necessary to have such a device in science fiction and a science fiction story about time travel? Why or why not? What do you think about Crossley's explanation for Butler's refusal to clearly explain Dana's time traveling? To what extent do you agree that Dana's inability to control her own traveling to the past is reminiscent of Africans being enslaved? And why do you think it's necessary for Dana, a modern woman living after the Civil Rights Movement, to experience the same dreadful, disorienting voyage of her ancestors? What might Butler be suggesting with Dana's shared experience? And this journal entry is due by the end of the day on November 18th. Lastly, you have a takeaway activity. So now that we're wrapping up the Amazing Journeys module, our last module for the course, discuss one key concept, idea, insight, piece of information, or reading that stands out to you. Also, you may discuss a conversation from the discussion forum that impacted you in some way. How do you think the takeaway from this module will be useful to you in your reading, writing, or critical thinking? And this takeaway activity is due by the end of the day on November 18th. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, or you can also stop by during my virtual office hour on Thursday from 1 to 2 p.m. That's it, everyone. Have a great week. Bye for now.